We will now resume our program with Sports and Social Impact, LA Rams and Kingfish. Please welcome your host, Heather Anderson.
Can you all hear me? Oh yeah, that works good, huh? Hello, good afternoon. Wait, I didn't hear anybody. Let's try that again. Hello, good afternoon. You've been waiting all day for this afternoon session, right? Good. Well, I'm excited to have my friends from the Rams come up and join me. So I'm going to sit all this down, and I want you all to give a warm welcome to Jonathan Franklin, who is Director of Social Justice and Community Affairs and Engagement at the LA Rams. Next, we have Lexi Vonderleeth, Vice President of Brand Strategy at the Rams. I have Sam Lack, our Senior Producer from the LA Rams. And Yusuf Rouser, our Video Producer from the LA Rams. And you know today's entire theme has been about empowerment. We're going to take a seat. I saw all these young people standing up. I was like, I'm going to sit down. I don't know what they're all doing. And we are going to be talking about breaking barriers and an incredible short film that the Rams have created around Kingfish. And before we get started, to give you some context for our conversation, we're going to show you a sizzle.
The Rams have always been a team of firsts. From putting the horn on the helmet to welcoming the NFL's first male cheerleaders. But one team first was surprisingly unknown to many. The story of Kenny Washington. The Rams running back reintegrated the NFL in 1946. The NFL's Jackie Robinson. For Black History Month 2023, the Rams partnered with the Black Originals to right this wrong and produced a short documentary film telling Kenny's story and how his impact is felt across the NFL and city of LA to this day. The goal of Kingfish was bigger than impressions and video views. We wanted to educate and inspire the next generation. Building around the film, the Black History Month campaign, Kenny Ran So I Could, highlighted Kenny's lasting impact through multiple verticals, including merchandise, community outreach, and a film premiere fit for Hollywood. The result? Over 10,000 kids from over 240 schools have screened the film nationally, proving that the legacy of Kenny Washington still runs.
It's really a powerful film. I highly encourage all of you to take the time to watch it. And we're so blessed and fortunate to have the people who made this impact get to share their thoughts about it today. So there were multiple themes of empowerment that came up when I was watching the film. And the first one that really jumped off the screen for me was personal empowerment. You see, Kenny Washington is part of this three-group trio called the Gold Dust Gang, really breaking barriers just to be playing at UCLA and then moving into the professional realm. And I wanted to talk to our filmmakers, Sam and Yusuf, about as you were putting this film together and really revisiting their personal empowerment, their ability to go after their dreams that they had probably set since they were young people. What did that mean for you, and what did it mean for you for your own dreams of empowerment personally and things that you've been wanting to pursue your goals?
Well, hi everyone. So happy to be here today, and also thank you to my Rams coworkers for being a part of this with me. It really was an honor to work on this with you guys, and of course every day it's an honor to be with you guys at work. This for me was such a special opportunity because I think for myself, I've had so many people in my career and in my life look out for me and try to empower me to pursue my dream. I mean, as I talk to each of you here today, that's truly what I'm doing. It's to to tell stories and to connect people regardless of who they are and where they're from and what they've done. And to give you a little bit of a background too, Yusuf and I, we work together on a daily basis on a variety of projects, and this is just one of many that we've done since we've been at the Rams together. I also happen to be Yusuf's manager on our team, and for me, part of this project was trying to pour everything that I had into supporting him and working together to help him achieve his dreams and goals, just like many people have done for me too. So from an empowerment standpoint, of course, the piece itself, storytelling-wise, is really impactful, but also just executing it and doing the best that we possibly could to tell Kenny's story and his impact, not just in the moment, but decades and decades later. It was really cool to work together on this. Yeah, I had a lot of fun, buddy. It was great.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, Sam's my manager on a daily basis, so he does a great job of empowering me both in office and out of office. As he mentioned, trying to support my goals. Down the line, I would love to become a filmmaker, director, writer, even a cinematographer, things that I do on a daily basis, but on a much larger scale. And as we talk about empowerment, before I dive into how I was empowered on this film, I first want to say thank you to the Black Originals and Lloyd Visuals Production. Those were the driving forces behind the film. They weren't able to be here today, but without them, would not have been able to dive deep into Kenny's story and to bring this film to life. And as I mentioned them, being on set, seeing a predominantly Black production company, creative agency, bring this story to life, that's empowering. You know, when you look at film sets across the industry, no matter the size, television, film, even down to commercials, we know that they are predominantly white ran sets, and minorities are starting to get more opportunities in those areas. So to be a producer on the project and to see those two groups really bring something special to life, it just empowered me and continued to show that this is something that I can do down the line at a high level. So I just want to thank them, and obviously thank you, Sam, for continuing to show me that these types of things are possible.
That's excellent. Lexi, one of the things that we see in the film is the power of media with the Black journalists who bring attention to and light to the fact that Kenny is trying to reintegrate into the NFL and really just use their media to bring attention to it. As a fellow person at a media brand, shout out to my ESPN colleagues that are here. We know that there's a lot of power in media to use that instrument and that voice to affect social change, to bring attention to issues. Can you talk, as the VP of brand strategy at the Rams, a little bit about how you all use that? Some of that is shown in the sizzle.
I mean, yeah, I think, you know, we know sports are a unifier, right? We know that. We know the NFL has this massive platform, the largest one of all the sports. And I think at the Rams, we know our opportunity, and I think we felt lucky when we knew that we were going to be able to tell this story. They could have told this story from the Rams' point of view the last, 50 years. And I think when we knew we had the opportunity, how do we go out and do it in a way that we felt like we were proud, that the Kenny Washington family was going to be proud, and that we could really tell this impactful story. I think when we talk about the use of media and the use of marketing, it goes to a lot of how we approach this. I think a lot of it was like, how do we make sure we've got a strong message and a strong call to action? And it started with a 10-month process of, we actually briefed 3 Black-owned creative agencies to really ensure we were bringing this idea to life in a way that was a story, and there was storytelling, and it wasn't just a recap of some of his history. I think we wanted to make sure through a cast of characters we could bring it to life in a way that the audience could come along, learn things, but there was a call to action with Kenny Ran, so I could at the end. And when you see successful brands do it, it's because there is a message, there is a call to action. And obviously some of the great brands, Nike, Beats by Dre, and P&G, they've got messages when they come, and I think we had to make sure we had a message, and that was what made this project really special.
I told you the Kenny Ran so I could part made me tear up. That was such a great campaign. Jonathan, in your role as Director of Social Justice, you get to really be embedded in the community, the national community and the local communities, to help empower them for things that are important to them. We see what that looked like back in the 30s and 40s for the Rams and for Kenny and for players. But it still holds true right now in Inglewood for what SoFi has brought, what the Rams being back in Inglewood has brought to the community, what you guys do with the Watts Rams always touches my heart. Talk to our audience a little bit about what that's like to use your voice and your place at the table to create community empowerment.
Yeah, that's a great question, and very grateful to be here back at UCLA. And it's all about, how can we continue the story of Kenny Washington and what he represented. And Lexi touched on it just now. Kenny ran SoI. And there's so many community members. Although they may not have everything in common with Kenny, what they do have in common is the barriers that they face every day. That adversity that they have to face every day. The lack of confidence that they may have when it comes to their voice. And our approach at the Rams is how can we listen, learn, and respond? And really build a strategy to create access for all. So when you think about social justice, one is telling the story of what social justice is and how we all can be impacted by that based off our socioeconomic background, ethnicity, sex, gender, and beyond, and how can we use our resources at the organization to create the pathways necessary so everyone can have access and truly tell the story. So we're excited to really be intentional in our approach to make sure that although Kenny may not be here today, his legacy will really and forever live on based off the work that we do each and every day.
Including, I saw there's some scholarships or a scholarship in his name, right? That helps
absolutely.
Continue to empower the community.
Yeah, so going back maybe about 2-3 seasons ago, it was the 75th anniversary of when Kenny signed with the Los Angeles Rams in 1946. And we believe this was the biggest kept secret. How can we let everyone know that Kenny played for the LA Rams? I'm not sure how many of you even knew about Kenny Washington prior to today, but so many members throughout, Los Angeles didn't know. So beyond game day, right? If you weren't there, how can we truly tell that story beyond the celebration? So we were able to announce a Kenny Washington scholarship. So Kenny wore jersey number 13. So we identified first-generation students throughout the LA community, and we supported them from a financial standpoint, 13 of them to help, fill those financial gaps, right? And that was the Kenny Washington Memorial Scholarship. Throughout the year, each year, we have what is called the Playmakers. So we believe that Kenny was a playmaker based off what he was able to accomplish. So each year we select a playmaker where we provide a financial donation to a leader amongst the community that is really creating change based off of specific social justice issues. So we're excited to do all that we can to truly tell Kenny's story beyond the film, but based off the work that we're doing in the community.
And I'm gonna shout out 2 other organizations that I know you all partner with, because I feel like every place I go in my personal life, I see the Rams show up. So LA Promise, one very near and dear to my heart. I know you all are big supporters, and Make-A-Wish too. I've seen you all be very present there, and so really embedded into the community. The next question is for both you and Lexi about corporate empowerment. We see, you touched on it a little bit earlier, Lexi, even with the supplier diversity, intentionality around that when you said you selected, Black filmmaking company to do it. We know our corporations, our big, media and other corporations have the ability to use our platforms, our visibility, our dollars to help create empowerment for people in the community, up-and-coming students, athletes out there. Love to hear some more. I know you talked about several of the programs, but thinking about it from that every day in the office strategy position, how are you thinking about using your corporate empowerment to empower others?
Yeah, I think what's great about the Rams is honestly it starts from the top. I would say Kevin, our president, it is built in when you start, and it is in our pillars, and it is in our brand positioning that community is a big part of what we do and how we want to make change. And that really helps set us up for success, even when we're going into planning stages for next year, year over year. I think it really helps all of us across the board know where we want to prioritize some of those projects. And this one in specific, we couldn't have been able to do it unless we knew that we had the financial resources to be able to shoot it the way we wanted, to tell the story the way we wanted. 10 months through a season, you need an external production company. But it really comes from them to be able to give us those resources and to do it. So I think it really does start from the top of an organization to help set us all up for success, to want to go out and make that change.
Yeah, and I talked about some of the problems, some of the programs that we have earlier, but I agree with Alexia. It starts from the top to really be able to invest appropriately when it comes to the Kenny Washington Scholarship and the finances that we put aside, the playmakers. And each month, our entire organization is out in the community volunteering our time to give back, to really make sure that we're connecting, that we're creating opportunities. A couple of years ago, we created a mentorship program where we have staff members mentor juniors and seniors at local high schools, and I believe one of the mentees is even here today. To see these opportunities and these pathways and these bridges that we're creating within an organization, it shows that we're more than just a football team. But we also understand the power of football and what it means to be back in Los Angeles. And it takes all of us. And social justice, community is at the heart of the Rams. And we're excited that we get to do it 365 to really inspire the community and inspire change.
No, and it was a little bit of a Freudian slip when you said problems, but that's true too. I mean, there's so many issues out there, right? And there's only so many dollars. And so we do have to stop and take, stock of what is going to be the most impactful at any given time, what's timely, what do you need to do. So it's a strategy for sure, right? But to your point, Lexi, it starts at the top. If you are intentional about it, then you get to work through those elements the way you would work through any other business issue. So Jonathan, I'm going to stay with you a little bit. I've already heard you shout out Bruins. Go Bruins. We are both proud alums of UCLA. And I know you're humbly sitting up here and not shared yet that you are a former athlete here too. But one of the other things that stood out to me in the film is just about physical empowerment itself, right? Like, separate and apart from personal empowerment and goal setting and reaching that, like, part of elevating your game and playing at the collegiate level and then at the professional level is you get to just keep challenging yourself physically against your opponents at this, And what does that look like both in the film and personally when you get the opportunity to be empowered to be in spaces where you can really push yourself to your physical limits?
It's no joke. I tell you that. It's really finding comfort in the uncomfort, right? And it doesn't end. Every next level in life requires a different version of who you are, and it definitely translates to the physical standpoint. And I'm grateful for it because, many times we can look at the X's and O's on the field and not really take a step back and see the power of football. And I am where I am because of pushing myself, to your point, to the limit physically on the game. I was able to grow up inner city Los Angeles, Dorsey High School, and I'm a first gen, and it was because of football that it opened the door to further my education and inspire my community, inspire my family to dream beyond their reality and to be able to play for the Green Bay Packers, although it's the Rams first, to achieve a dream. And even someone that comes from my community to believe that you can dream in the midst of where you come from, and to once again inspire the city and all the transferable life skills, the barriers that football was able to break. It definitely inspired me to do the work that I do every single day. And it's not a perspective of pushing everyone to go pro when it comes to the game of football, but how can we use our brand to help everyone go pro in life, right? But by using the power of the game. So there's an intentionality from a personal experience, from breaking those barriers to redefining limitations and never living based off what they are.
I want a shirt that says "Go Pro in Life." That's a great slogan. And this is just such a great example of paying it forward. So when I was a young lawyer many, many years ago at Fox, we had a program with Dorsey High School where we mentored the kids there. Now you pointed out the mentee from your program. My son, when he walked in and saw you, said, "That you're my old boss." So everyone paying it forward, getting to reach your dreams and then paying it forward to the next generation. Which is actually kind of how I want us to wrap up. And everybody take their time. I think you can each, be very intentional about this. But this is a question to each of you. We've got a lot of very seasoned professionals in the room, but we have a lot of young professionals in the room too, and obviously a lot of students here. And I want you each to give them your best piece of advice of how they can be empowered going forward from today. I'll go first while you all, think about that. But my piece of advice is going to be, if you don't leave this forum having connected with 5 people that you didn't know, you shouldn't leave yet. So this is the networking that you can create and the opportunities that can come out of that and the empowerment that can come out of those opportunities. I've got some of my own mentees in the room, are invaluable. And that's what you come and spend this time for. It's not just for the presentation. Certainly, we hope you're getting lots of substantive information from this, but it is really about the people in this room who want to pour into you, and we want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. That includes your peers. It's not just those of us who have already been established in some way, but who's sitting in your classrooms next to you that are going to be the next generation of us on this stage? If you don't know them, you should be connecting with them now. That's my piece of advice today for empowerment. I'm gonna start with you, so we're gonna start down that way. Give you a break for a second.
My piece of advice is possibly something that you all are familiar with, but the 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. That's something that my father used to harp on me about when I was young, and obviously as a young kid, you don't really understand it, but the older I've gotten and the more that I've been in this corporate professional space, it's so important. I had a big production yesterday that was the first production of its magnitude that I was able to direct and lead, and the process leading up to it, the pre-production, getting started with that early and asking the right questions and bringing in people to help, it just made yesterday so much smoother that we can go on set, everyone knows what their responsibilities are, I know what my responsibilities are, and we can just hit these benchmarks and we can hit the proper time for our production. But that just doesn't apply for production, it applies to anything that you guys do in life. If you prepare properly, whatever that looks like, you guys can go into whatever task you have and just be ready to roll and execute to the fullest of your potential.
Well, I'm also just blown away by what everyone's been saying so far. It's like so inspiring to be around these people on a daily basis at the Rams, because I guess what I would just challenge everyone in the audience, and even just continue to challenge ourselves on stage, is dare to dream, dare to be bold. I mean, that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but I definitely would not be where I am today if I didn't do that. And it's actually really interesting. What's cool about being a part of a bigger initiative, a bigger program like this today, getting to hear some of the other speakers, and I hope I don't get booed off the stage for this, but I heard the presentation about the Big Ten women's volleyball docuseries. Before I was at the Rams, I actually worked for Stanford women's volleyball. So I know there are a lot of Bruins in the crowd. I'm sorry, my affiliation is no longer with Stanford. I'm an LA guy now, but I really do believe actually in that particular piece of content. As someone who actually went to a lot of these Big Ten schools, I think you're right on track with that idea. I've never seen a more raucous group of 9,000 people in Nebraska cheering on a women's volleyball match. And I went to University of Georgia and I went to football games. I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, that's why I do what I do. I think back on all the experiences that we've had at the Rams already, experiences that I've had in my career, and I like to always think about things, especially from a cinematography standpoint, from an editing, producing standpoint. I like to zig when others zag. No different than maybe when Jonathan was a running back and he's looking for the hole and he might take a different gap because he sees the visibility. If he can just beat that one guy, he's going to break away for 20, 30 yards, maybe even a touchdown, right? And that's how I approach everything that I do from a professional and personal standpoint. I mean, we got one opportunity, at least that I know of, on this planet, and I definitely don't want to waste it. I mean, shoot, I'm itching to get behind these cameras right now that are filming this thing. That's how much I love what I do. And yeah, I just feel really grateful for it. So just again, to kind of close out the thoughts, like whatever that thing is for you that is kind of just eating at you on the inside or in the back of your mind, I'm like, man, I wonder what this would be like. Happy to like even just chat about it with anybody here about how do you go about and achieving your dream and achieving whatever you want to do with your life. And it doesn't have to be filmmaking, it doesn't have to be storytelling. It can truly be anything, because there's a lot of different things that fulfill each of us. But I think it's just so important to do what you do every day that makes you feel fulfilled on the inside, because otherwise we're just wasting time. So that's how I feel.
And that subtopic that you snuck in there about being able to pivot when you see an opening, right? Sometimes you think I'm on track this way, and then some opportunity arises that turns you in a different direction, and that's okay too, because that might be the next step in empowerment. It doesn't always have to be a straight line. Sometimes it zigzags, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's like obviously has amazing things to say. I think a lot of what, when interviewing people and continuing to meet people, I think the biggest thing I always try to go back to is having people just be themselves. And I think even as someone who was an athlete and going through a lot of job interviews and internships and things like that, I think sometimes people are scared to sort of be themselves and sort of voice their opinions. And even we see it as working at the Rams, some of the younger staff, I think that's where we try to really help and push and get your opinion in there. Creatively, we need it. I think we always talk about the fact that we try to pull in so many different creative ideas. And obviously I worked at creative agencies for most of my career, and ideas can come from anywhere. And unless someone is actually voicing it and getting it to us, sometimes I feel like we miss that. And I think it doesn't always have to be in a big meeting with everyone. It's sort of giving us an email or sending it through, because that could be the idea you wind up landing on. But I think it also comes back to just sort of being yourself. And I think it took me about 10 years, I'd say, through my 20s to really realize that. But I think that when you actually start to get that out, you wind up being able to do some of the best work in your career.
That was great. If I can add, I would just say trust the process. It can be so easy and to have what I'll call like a microwave mentality, right? Where we want something quick and easy. We want it right now. And when you don't get it, it can be frustrating. And it can be discouraging. And as I look back on just kind of my journey of where I am, it was the process that allowed me to evolve into the man I am today and the professional I am today. I left UCLA breaking 4 records, and I thought I was going to be in the NFL for years to come. I was going to be a Hall of Famer. And I get there in 12 games in my rookie season, I'm forced to medically retire. And life is turned upside down. And the man I saw in the mirror, I couldn't recognize, my passion, my dreams, my goals, everything was gone. And I had to really redefine my goals, my identity, and my purpose. Was able to go back to the Packers, University of Notre Dame. I'm now, heading to my 8th season with the Rams. But it was the process and the journey that allowed me to be where I am. And I'm so grateful for that. And so many times when we have to pivot, we can be frustrated with the pivot and not see the purpose or the why. But yet, when we just persevere through it, we really see the results of why that needed to happen to allow us to be where life is calling us to. So just trust in the process of life, and I think you'll find out where you truly need to be.
That is absolutely wonderful. That's a great way for us to wrap up. I want to thank you all so much for making this incredible film, first of all, and everything you did to pour into our audience today. Let's give our panelists an incredible round of applause.